Well, hello everybody. Sorry about the delay. Actually, let me take this off 1 second. All right, we should be live. I'm gonna give, even though I'm a little bit delayed, it's okay because I always wait a few minutes at the start of streams anyway to wait for everybody to get in, get all notifications sent out, and make sure everything sounds good and looks good. So if I can get a couple of sounds good, looks good in the chat, that would be awesome. Just gonna hang around for a few minutes, say hello. What's up, everybody? Okay, it looks like everything is working pretty decently. It's hard for me to tell 100%, but we've got about a 30-second delay on the stream here. Excuse me while I adjust the new mic. Oh, good sound now. Sweet, sweet, sweet. Yeah, this is not quite a lav mic. It's a headset called a 4188. That's the model number. It is a very expensive, decent quality, because I mean, when you get a microphone this small, you know, you can only have so much quality. So anyways, wanted to thank you guys for stopping by, and if you're watching this live, which it is live right now if you're typing in the chat, hello everybody, nice to see all of you. And this will be uploaded as a recording later as well. So if you can't stick around for the whole thing, I do have a new stream schedule lined up, and we'll kind of take care of a little bit of the announcements before we get into this video, because we are going to be doing a full track. I picked one of the Zomboy tracks that I haven't actually time coded yet, and I thought it would be fun if we all together went through the steps, not exactly from zero, but just because that takes like a lot of time to get like a template file up and running. But I have all the pages, all the macros set up, and we'll go through the act of actually doing the cues and recording it. So I think that should be pretty fun. Some other housekeeping, note-taking things. There is a new page on my website down in the description of this video as well. It's christianjackson.com/live. Because we're obviously all in this new situation where we don't really know exactly when gigs are going to be coming back, I decided to invest, with the help of supporters on Patreon, in a whole new set of equipment, including this camera, the one that is directly above, as well as, you know, a whole host of other capture devices so that I can show you how all the different screens look. So I'm excited to be doing this, and yeah, if you want to check out the other live streams, there will be 2 timecode streams per week. Technically 1, but I split it up into 2 different days because I don't really want to sit here live for 6 hours, and I don't think you want to watch that either. So we'll do 3 hours-ish today, 3 hours tomorrow. And that is typically enough time for me to get a fully fleshed out song. So yeah, this video will be published after, and the time zones are kind of split up. So a lot of people complain like, oh, the I can't watch from this period of time to this period of time because it's like 3 a.m. in my country. Maybe you're one of those people, I think, like Australia right now. So this is kind of more of the Europe stream. So hello to all the people in Europe. I got up super early for me. I was up till like 4 a.m. working on this, and then some other actual projects that thankfully I still have. But yeah, so that website, christianjackson.com/live, will have all of the forthcoming live streams, because it's going to be a super regular schedule from now on. I figured this would be the best way for me to actually publish videos for a change. So try that out. Yeah, Alex, it's 2 a.m. there. So yeah, tomorrow then I have a stream for 6 p.m. my time, which is like 1 o'clock in the afternoon your time or something like that. Trust me, I split it up appropriately. So this stream will be for one half of the world. Tomorrow's stream will be for the other half of the world. So you're just the worst half. I'm sorry. Sorry, Alex. So anyways, that's enough with the introductions. We got about, what do we got? 620 people in That's pretty sweet. Thanks for joining in, guys. One final note before I get into this. I'm probably not going to do a whole lot of chat interaction. Just because I'm going to be pretty heads down and working on everything as we do, or as I go through it. So let me just check the levels real quick. If you guys wouldn't mind, I'm going to make sure that I don't blow your ears out. So I'm going to turn this down first, so you shouldn't be in any danger. But I just want to see my sound meters here. Oh no, okay, so I don't have the Yamaha mixer. Give me 1 second to sort that out, because that doesn't really make sense. It's one of the downfalls of having a pretty complex system. Even though I've tested this like 1,000 times, there are still some weird glitches that happen. Let me see if I can grab this guy. We're not using any CDJs for this. I'm just putting a track into Reaper. So if you have not seen my video on how to get Reaper tracks into MA or timecode, then that will probably help you out. Okay, let me see here. Desktop audio. No. Very strange. Very professional stream, guys. Very professional, I know. And if you're watching this video later in the future, we'll put a series of timestamps down below. So you can jump around and skip through silly stuff like this, like me not being able to figure out why my Yamaha mixer is coming through. Let's see here. Still nothing. Interesting. I don't think it is slaved to my monitor output. Update my webcam. No, this is a DSLR. So I mean, technically, yeah, I updated my webcam. Sorry about this, guys. I tested this like literally right before, and now it's not connecting to my external mixer. I do have another way of doing this, but I don't really want to do it this way. This is like old reliable right here. So this might be really bad, but it should provide, hang on 1 second. Let me see if I can just do this here. Desperate times, desperate measures, right? Okay. So now, theoretically, if I increase my gain over here, so theoretically you should be able to hear the tracks. But, you know, it's going to be of lesser quality. Let me see if I'm going to work on this just a few more minutes. Bear with me, guys. I'm sorry about this. Super annoying, I know. Professional stream. The part that I don't understand is that I have the connection via USB working just fine, but I'm not getting anything in my OBS. Oh, there we go. It's sometimes as simple as plugging and unplugging the USB cable in the back of your $100 Yamaha mixer. Who would have known? Okay. So that makes me feel a little bit better. Okay, so you guys should have pretty decent quality audio. You should be able to hear me above it. So we'll start from there, and this should be a lot better than putting this thing in front of my speakers. Okay. So the first part of doing any of this is getting your pages and macros laid out. I work with a numbering scheme with not only the macros, not only the timecode pool items, but also the pages as well. So I tend to start all of my song pages on page 101. So if we're looking at the MA here, we obviously have screen 1 here, screen 2 up there, screen 3 over here. And over on screen 3, let me pull it up here. You can see I do have this view laid out where we can take a look at different parts of our timecode view. So I've got like a random 3D view, timecode page view, and this is just a quick way of me taking a quick glance at all of the timecode elements of the show. So down below here, I have this. See, I'm tapping on this bottom row here of views. This is basically how you make folders of views. So you'd hit like timecode as my main window, and then within that timecode view, I have these. I call them nested views, but they're really just they're just additional views. There's nothing special about them. So when I am selecting these, I can bounce quickly between the timecode pool items themselves. Those are the pieces of the show that actually contain the data about when I'm firing cues. The sequences, which is like where I store the main sequence, because each song typically will have, again, there's no rules in any of this, but the way I work, I have one master sequence which contains all of the compositional elements and progression of the song. So things like marks where the introduction is, and marks where a little bit louder. Okay, let me see here if I can turn it up a little bit. Sorry about that. And then I'll turn up the audio track. So anyways, like I was saying, that main sequence contains a sequence in order of how the composition of the track progresses. So start typically with like a marking cue, which is an invisible cue that positions all the lights and gets everything ready for that first introduction cue. Because even though introduction might be the first part of your song, there's got to be a little bit of magic, if you will, in the background to reposition lights, change the color wheels, the things that take physical time for the lights to actually do. So that'll usually be the first cue, like a marking cue. And then all through the rest of the cue list will be things like introduction, breakdown, solos, choruses, verses, bridges, things like that. So typically I'll have TC pool item, TC sequences, macros, pages, and an exec page for each of the main sequences. So the pages exist because in addition to wanting to have a complete cue list in order, a master cue list, if you will, master sequence, I also want to have buttons that I can tap along to either like drums or synths or whatever element of the song it's suited to. Hey Nicholas, how you doing, man? Welcome to the stream. Hope this is a little more palatable of a time. Let me see if I do have a scene where you guys should be able to see. No, it's still not working. It's another thing that's been proving difficult is getting a reliable NDI connection just from the Razer laptop. Every other bit of NDI equipment here is working, except for the laptop. Still not exactly sure why. But it just has, there's nothing you're really missing over there. It's just Reaper with the song, this song. And the reason I'm going to keep it a little bit quieter and probably talk over bits of the song is purely for copyright reasons. Because even though I own a copy of this song, I literally just bought it on Beatport, that's why I was late getting here. Console cam, what do you mean? Oh, the console cam moved a little bit. Let's see. Is that like really the end of the world? Thank you for noticing that. Oh, I see what's going on. So I went and changed a few things. Shouldn't be total end of the world, you guys, but I will go and move this just for you. Okay, hope that's palatable. Anyways. Back to Reaper. So we've got a couple of different things that we have to keep in mind, and I number them according to the number of the song in the set they are. So I'm already working on a different demo song for this show file called demo track, which you can see here, demo track. But we're going to move on to track 2, and I have a macro set up to rename a track. So I'm going to rename song 2 to Battlefields. This is the Zomboy track. And then the only other thing that I haven't done yet is made a Lua plugin script to automatically change this second line in here. So I have to manually go in here and then change this to Battlefields. And then when we run this macro, oh, I messed up the second line. Why are you not running? Somebody tell me what I did wrong. Oh, I left parentheses. That's why. Rookie move. So now when I hit this macro, or any of these show macros, as long as I get out of here and rename this, because I'm an idiot. I haven't finished that Lua script yet. So now, anytime that macro fires, it'll switch pages. If you notice down below, the name of the pages is changing. So we'll go over to Battlefields. And you'll also notice that if I switch over to screen number 2, our selected sequence is now this Battlefield sequence. So down here, this green highlighted sequence. This is a pre-populated list of 42, because 42 is the ultimate meaning of the universe. 42 queues, and that typically ends up being about where I land, the number of queues anyways, so just a random number. These are all empty. These have no queue information in them whatsoever. It is just a way for me to have a base footprint for me to start working off of. So, with that said, and now since this is loaded in the selected executor, I can now use the, I can now use the big go plus and minus buttons. Okay. So with all that said, I am going to turn off that queue and make sure that my timecode is routed correctly. So like I said, I'm using the little Reaper loop MIDI trick. And we can see, okay, I do have timecode coming in, but it's coming in on timecode slot 2, which is kind of typical because I'm using the MIDI loop. So if you just set up everything in its defaults, it's going to set up that way. Now you could change your timecode slots on each of your pool items with like a macro or something so that it's listening to timecode slot 2. But instead, I'm just going to temporarily change timecode slot 2, or excuse me, my configuration in MA network configuration to show that that station that is connected, this on PC station, is actually playing the timecode from the MIDI timecode input on slot 1. So now, if we go back over to our other screen, we're now over on slot 1. Abe Coulter, thank you for the beer money, pizza money. Appreciate it. So we can see we have timecode running, and we have our 20-minute offset. So when I'm starting the song at 0 seconds in the song, it's actually starting the timecode at 20 seconds, because the way that I have everything set up in my show file is everything is separated into 10-minute chunks of timecode offsets. So song 1 exists starting at 10 minutes. Song 2 exists starting at 20 minutes. If you have a song longer than 10 minutes, then it just occupies as many slots as you need it to. But that's just to prevent accidental playback of the wrong song at the wrong time. Anyways, back to here. So first things first, I'm going to cue out this song, and the only way you can really do that is by listening to it. I'm going to do one like dry run through where I really do nothing but just listen to the track and type in the cues. And then when I go back and listen to it, I've gone back and forth on this a couple times. Like you can either make all of the cues and label them and go through and time them later, or time them as empty cues that have just the name Q1, Q2, Q3, and then go back and try to hit them accordingly. So sometimes it's hard to remember which one I choose, but I think for this one, actually, I may have lied to you guys and told you that I do it one method when I actually usually do it the other way. So I'm going to store some more cues first of all, because this is a Zomboid track. So since this sequence is the selected sequence, all I have to do is say store Q 43 through, we're going to end up at around 100 for sure. And that just added a whole list all the way out to 100. So I'm going to go through, and first I'm going to arm our timecode recording. Make sure we're switched on our macro here. Go to our TC page. Battlefields is highlighted, but you see there's a little play icon next to it. That means it's ready to play. You know, what a coincidence. But I am going to switch the record mode over in our programmer, because the little programmer window is kind of contextual. So this guy right here will change depending on what type of things you have selected in the UI. So right now, since I touched that timecode pool title, it brings up the timecode editor. So I'm gonna hit record, and now everything is listening for playbacks. Like the desk is listening for me to be pressing buttons. So if I were to start pressing buttons right now, even though the timecode is stopped, it is locked on the last frame that it received. And if I were to start typing buttons either intentionally or accidentally, then it would actually record those keystrokes. And we don't want that. So be very aware of what state your timecode record is in. So I'm going to go ahead and hit play, and we will mark out a couple of cues here. So remember, we're off right now, even though this is a red highlighted cue. That's just an appearance that I assign so that I can see that it's the marking cue. I'm going to hit play here. And then so that I can make sure that that cue starts right when timecode is supposed to be rolling and that we have the right proper settings, make sure that our auto start is on and status call is on for programming. And then I will go in here, and I don't know how I managed to do this, but I hit the go button right at 20 minutes. I even added like, 10-second pre-roll over on Reaper. I'm gonna buy a lottery ticket and a pizza with that donation money. By the way, we're gonna do part of the live stream series, which is gonna go indefinitely until I get gigs back. I mean, I'm pretty well secure with the amount of pre-production work I'm doing on upcoming shows, but until gigs come back, like I don't have that much else to do other than hang out with you guys. So if you haven't seen it yet, there's a link down below, shows my new live stream schedule. It's not a corona cough, but I wanted to mute it anyways. Okay, so we've got our first cue, our marking cue hit, and the problem we're going to have here is that since this song really gets going right away, there's not a whole lot of time to have an intro. So instead, what I'm going to do for all of this section in the middle, I'm going to make this basically a long fade in, even though there's all these kind of crazy drum things happening. And then that silence right there is going to be the marker for going into like our intro cue. So I won't even consider this first cue. I'm just going to call this one fade in. Why are you not naming? That's because I have scroll lock, that's why. Fade in, I'll do blackout and then intro. So no matter what, I know that we can at least get started from this first section here. I'm going to work on getting see if I can get a waveform overlay for you guys. Give me 1 second. I think I can make that work maybe. If the screen goes black, I promise you it's not going to be detrimental to the stream, but I want to see if I can make this work. I don't think it's going to work. That's okay. We'll work on that for the next stream. Yeah, this is an ETC Nomad, in case you were curious. This is a 088 Fat Frog. Welcome to the Previs suite. Here's your 088 Fat Frog. Yeah, this will be uploaded later. Yeah, there are, Dimitri in the chat says he has a free tool that takes Reaper timecode markers and converts it to MA. But I personally like doing it manually like this. I don't know. I feel like it takes just the same amount of time, and you can't really know for sure what you're gonna. I don't know. Personally, I know about the plugins for doing this, but I still do it manually. Oh, wait, hang on a second. Why did I lose? Black screen. Oh my god, black screen, guys. Let Christian know immediately. So that was NDI like kind of working for a second. Alright, so now we're back. So I'm gonna add another record. We'll go back into record mode, hit play. Again, all these little parts of the track we'll add in later with like 10 buttons. Okay. One thing you can do if you've got timecode items that are like right next to each other, which I'm going to do in this case, I'm actually just going to delete it and change the trigger mode to follow. And then you can add an appropriate fade. So I think for this section, the length is 12.5 seconds. So theoretically, if we do a 12.5 fade here, we play our song again. Okay, we'll sneak our blackout a little sooner, and then it's probably more like 12 seconds on the fade. Okay, so we'll move on from there. So now we've got our intro. So I'm going through and recording as I'm naming. So then he's got like a drum fill. You got to listen to these tracks like a lot. A drum fill and then drop, I think. Da 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 da. This is Josh's drum fills, though. So the "this is a battle" part is going to be another follow cue. It'd be cool if Patreon people can follow along on the same show file. Yeah, as soon as this song is done, I'm going to upload it. You'll have to source the audio portion of this on your own, just because I can't like distribute someone else's work, even if they are a friend of mine. So you'll have to, once this is all done, if you want to see how it is all built in the Patreon file, it'll be uploaded. Go back through and rename a couple of these cues that I missed. So this is 2x break. Whoop, 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 whoop. So Q16 needs to go. The 4x and the 2x that I'm putting in here, so if you take a look at the way I'm writing this out, this is just a real shorthand way of describing what is exactly happening at that moment. So it totally depends on every programmer. So I just tend to write either sounds or multipliers, divisors. If there's like a breakdown or impact, anything that describes like the sound of what's happening right then, that's what I'll type in there. So I'm gonna kind of buckle down and just finish the rest of this track out here. with the main sequence. You can see how timecode takes really, really long time. We can go in and clean up these timings later too. So 16 needs to go about half a second forward. Might just delete 17 because it doesn't really add anything. And if I delete it there, it's going to show up as an empty slot in here. Just delete it. Or you can fill it in with something else. Doesn't really matter. This part's gonna be hard because he has this section where it's like a fake out drop with some really cool sound design. So usually I mark those as like fake out drops, and I'll add a cue immediately after that that has like a fade out on the cue timing with a follow. So I can do store cue 24.5 to insert a cue right after. Just because I know that that cue, when I eventually program it in, is going to have some like big intensity hit and then have it fade away. So this will be fake out, fade out. Maybe like a 0.6, something like that. And then there's this really cool section. Maybe a little faster, 0.45. I want to know what that sample is. It's almost like a shell or like a cartridge reloading. I'm gonna actually go way faster. I'll do 0.2. Hey David, how's it going, man? Good to see some friendly faces in the chat. We got a stunning 737 concurrent viewers. That's pretty cool. Again, guys, if you can't stick around for the whole shebang, we'll do like 3 hours today, 3 hours tomorrow, and then if the song isn't done by then, which there's a high likelihood that it won't be, because I'm a perfectionist and probably gonna add like DMX camera movements in capture once we get there. But we're not even to like programming actual data yet. Then we'll upload like an actual rendered version of this show. So if you can't stick around for the whole time, these will all be uploaded. Hey Damien, thanks for tuning in. Okay, now, so this is just a little break. So in this part, I kind of know where I'm going to go with the track. I know there's going to be some big like anticipation of a movement for that drop, but instead of that big movement, it's just going to be kind of a small movement that I can then black out and reposition into something totally different. So I'm going to use this Q25 as a break reposition. It's just my terminology. And I'm going to turn this into a follow as well. Follow queues will save a lot of time when you don't need something to happen at an exact time-coded time, which doesn't really make 100% sense until I say that, unless it's something relative to another time-coded event. So I know as soon as that drop hits and as soon as those lights fade out, I don't care what actual time code that time is. I just care that it happens at a certain time after that most recent event. So I'll do follow and then I'll do plus 0.05. And that gives enough time for like everything in the light to shutter down, because I know that it's gonna I know that I'm gonna want to end on a dimmer on that fade out. And then I just want to give enough time to make sure that dimmer closes all the way before I reposition it to wherever I end up positioning it. Do I program it without visualization? No. There's a visualizer, but we haven't programmed any of the cues yet. This is just like outlining the sequence. We're really going all the way from the top here. So there's no point in really showing you the visualizer because it's a black screen. I mean, I guess we could do like fixture through and highlight. You can see there's a stage there. But that looks kind of creepy actually. That's the new Capture 2020, by the way. Looks pretty cool. That over there, down there. That? Oh wait. Yeah, this is the Capture 2020. We've got the DMX cameras rigged up too. So we'll do all that. We might. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I think this might be not a song per week, but a song per 2 weeks, something like that. Just because I want to make it really good. Okay, I'm not gonna watch the chat. No more chat. I think I'm actually gonna cover it up. But then, who will tell me when I have black screen? Okay, continuing. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. 90%. No, okay, it's not 90%. It's like a 50-50 battle as a programmer between like creating something that looks good and something that is just well managed data-wise. It's 50% data management. Okay, so now we got a drop, and this drop queue is going to be at a specific timecode event. We could use follow, but it doesn't make sense. I wish I could show you guys the waveform right now, I'm sorry. So I call that like a wind down, or it's not quite a vinyl break. These are all just like different things that you'll hear and pick up on. Oh, did I not trigger it? Okay. It's weird because it resumes on not really a downbeat. It resumes on an upbeat, which is an interesting way to think about programming this. Because I can either program it so that the drop hits like right at the drop, which I think is what I'm going to do, and then I can fill in that that upbeat with the temp buttons later. So this is like a filter. So you hear how the low pass kind of starts really, really low, and then it sweeps up. So I'll make a point for that. I'm going to do another break / wind down. And then filter up. This will be a follow, and then we can add our times later and finesse them later. We got a drum fill and then a break. And then it goes straight into another build. Pretty crazy. Okay. Oh, whoops, I think I messed that up. Oh, I see why. So instead of deleting that, I'm just going to insert another follow cue like I intended to originally in between. Call this one drop 2 since it is the second one in the set, or second one in the track. And drum fill. So that drum fill needs to come a little faster, so I'll pull up. It doesn't have to be spot on right now because we're going to tweak it later with the visualizer. Drum fill needs to be another second later. Not quite a full second later, but might as well be. A little earlier. That's good. Hey guys, be nice to each other in the chat. I see some mean-spirited things occasionally. Not sure if they're jokes or... So drum fill needs to be a whole second later for sure. Oh, I think that's the wrong drum fill. Yep. So I'll oops that. Okay, so now we're on to drop 2, and we're already at, just in the main sequence, almost 40 cues. Oops. And we're about halfway through the song. This drop too, I'll probably just leave it to run without doing any sort of crazy stuff. Oh, whoops. So this gets us into a new section of the track. Make sure I actually hit record properly there. Okay. Yeah, I wish I could show you what I'm doing on this Razer screen. Let me try to figure that out just real quick. Give me 2 seconds here. It's strange because I'm outputting over OBS with NDI, and it's been working great up until now. Oh, man. Let me try to add it here. No. I don't think it's going to work, guys. It's so strange. Because I can grab other NDI sources with no problem. Maybe I can't. Discard this. Even if you have capture, you won't be able to program on GrandMA 2 on PC unless you have the hardware. Yeah, you can't output to capture, but you can still use like the 3D, like MA3D is free. I've been on that bandwagon lately. Team MA3D is free. I say that as someone who is using not MA3D right now. Yeah, this is weird. The laptop's still not sending. Last time I fixed it, I had to restart OBS, and I'm not really into doing that right now. But just trust me, it's literally me just scrubbing through a waveform on the laptop. Am I sending MANet to the laptop? Yes. So, sorry guys, you do not get proper view of this waveform. So, this little breakdown part. I like that little hardstyle impact or kick. This is the part I'm excited to timecode. I think I'm going to do this part in secret while you guys aren't watching. Turn off the stream and I'll do this part later and then upload a video of it. No waveform, I want refund. I will issue you a refund to your YouTube account. Your free YouTube account. Audio playback is through Reaper. Sorry, I wish I could show you, but it's really bugging out right now. I guess I could... I have a way to show you, but I don't think you're going to like it. Give me 1 second. Oh, I don't want to... Not Audition, I want Reaper. Jesus. What did I pull up? Do I really want to quit Lightroom? Yes, I do. Okay. Ooh, I don't think this is going to work. No, this won't work. Sorry. The way I have the audio set up for capturing the stream, I can't, the microphone and everything is routed as an input in the same software. MA3D says it's discontinued on the website. Yeah, so is MA2. MA2 is discontinued. A lot of good things are discontinued. The the ultimate ratcheting focus tool is also discontinued or out of production. Hold it in front of the face cam. There's a couple ways I could do this, but I'm not gonna. I'll just have to fix that for the next stream. So that'll be fixed by tomorrow, I promise. Okay, now I'm just gonna type out instead of recording. That's actually a recording from a show. Wait, why did I mark that? I labeled that totally incorrectly. I'm really going to be interested to listen to this played back. This is drop. Drop 3. That drum fill is sick. This is the part I can't wait to timecode. This is just like so much stuff happening right here. It's going to be wild. Oh, I messed it up. So if I record a couple things that are definitely incorrect, if I go into edit, why are they not here? They usually show up in dark green because those timings were totally off. I'm not sure why they didn't show up. But maybe choose a Razer laptop versus a MacBook Pro. I've got both. I need to reorganize some of these cues because I got them mixed up in my head. So I think I can still save this. So here's a good question from Douglas. So I figure I'll just stop here for 1 second. I'm almost done with this main cue list. Then we can actually start programming some other actual parts of the song. Hang on 1 second. What does Douglas say? Not familiar with the MA structure, but it seems that there is a project level, the song, then the executor holds the cues for the project, correct? I mean, kind of. The project is the show file, so that contains all of the data for the entire show file. So show files at the top, and then within that you have pool items that interact with each other in different ways. So sequences store cue data, and sequences are just lists, like what I was showing on screen here. This is just a list of instructions and data. And those sequences can be assigned to executors. Think of executors as a way of playing back. Like it's a very German way, I guess, of building a piece of software, but it's kind of like, if you imagine, this is an example that they use, I think, in the manual, where you have, songs on a CD, and then where that CD would be the sequence, and each song would be cues. You can't really do anything with the CD until you put it into a CD player. The CD player in this instance would be the executor. You can play stuff back from the sequence pool, but it's a little easier to interact with. It's like a physical handle for you to actually use. That's the difference there. Okay. This part's gonna get crazy. And in fact, I think break with the impact, drop resume. Wind down, impact, outro. That's going to be the last little sequence of this here. Alright, coming up towards the end. We got impact. Then I'll have outro as a follow cue as well. Josh has these parts in the song where you can really kind of do some more like ethereal looks. Like this outro is a perfect example. Just like a really like sullen, somber type sound, which is cool for making timecode videos because you go from this like really aggressive, like hard-hitting track, and then it just kind of ends with a really cool ethereal feel. Is the timecode from each song or the entire set? Both. I've a couple different timecode things going on. So I'm just gonna watch through this one last time before I continue and actually start doing the cues. Well guys, we've made it officially to 1 hour. Not a little more. Where are we at right now? Hour and 6 minutes. Happy anniversary, everybody. Can I get a happy anniversary in the chat, please? Oh, I guess I can't. There's no 3D view yet because nothing has been programmed. Like, we're just doing the outline right now. I'm telling you, this takes a long time. So as soon as there's stuff to show you in 3D, as soon as I'm like watching my visualizer, then we'll pop over to that. I promise. Promise. Okay, so I'm satisfied with this general outline for now. So what I'll often do with these kind of... I wish I could really show you this waveform right now. But you hear the dun dun dun. So I'll try to break the rig up into a couple different sections and do flash buttons of intensity with those corresponding number and locations of flashes. What's a good resource for studying with MA3? There's no real good resources right now except for the what's provided by MA. There's an MA university to learn it. But we're kind of in the Wild West frontier. I would recommend learning MA2 right now, because it's going to continue to be the leading software for a long, not like an insanely long time, but for the next couple years, you're not going to see any benefit by learning MA3 strictly instead of MA2. Of course, you can learn both at the same time. That's cool, and a lot of the concepts will fall over, which is why I suggest learning with 2, because 80-ish%, I would say, just based off of what I've seen with MA3, 80% of MA2 knowledge will follow over. All right, not going to do too much Q&A in this stream because we've got 2 hours left and I want to get through at least a couple minutes of this. So now I can pull up our visualizer that you guys have been waiting so long to see. I should have just put this up here to begin with so you guys could see that I'm really like not doing anything crazy with it. So layout view is primarily my main tool for making selections, and I think I've got a changeover queue on right now. Yeah, changeover queue's on. Whoops. Ooh. I'm gonna take a water break for 1 second, guys. Sorry. Give me just 2 seconds here. That means you guys should all take a water. Should we do water together? Does anybody else have water out there? Water gang. Cheers, guys. Thanks for tuning in. You thought that was cool? Wait till we have our pizza party on Friday. So right now the plan is I'll have like an actual YouTube video, like not a stream, on Fridays, released in the morning, and then Friday night we'll do like a hangout, play some games, eat some pizza, drink some drinks, general hangout kind of thing. So if you haven't seen that yet, there's a list of all of the upcoming streams on my website. Link is in the description. Yeah, Water Gang. Yeah, it might be dinner time for you, but you know, I got up at 7 a.m. to do this. Okay, I got up at 8 a.m. and then I was a little late, so I'm sorry. So let's focus on those 3 sounds for a second. Dun dun dun. So I kind of hear that as like a left, right, top kind of sound. I know it sounds weird to say it like that, but down below, if you notice over on screen number 3, see these nice empty cues that have absolutely nothing stored in them? Those are just part of my template show file. So I have these buttons just available for me to start programming with, and these faders up top as well as some X keys in the X1 through X20 section. It's these guys right here. So these are all kind of just like empty places for me to begin storing cues, or just have something that eliminates a step. That's the whole thing about the template file, is it eliminates steps between you and making cues. So I'm really creative with my naming scheme, so I'll do like done left, like dun dun dun, and then done right. And then we'll do like done top. So now I got to look at my LED selections here. In our clone file, if I were to highlight a couple sections of this, you can see this is my JDCs in the air. My JDCs in the air. So to keep this simple, we'll just start with merging in some data to this flash button. And then we'll do our floor package of JDCs the same manner. So now we have our dun 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 like that. And then we can continue by adding in maybe this guy in the back, or maybe not. We'll see. But I have a feeling for sure that we're going to start with some red. So you can select your fixtures, go to my program window, go to colors, select red, and now if I hit these keys, it's playing back the intensity, but I have color information from that red preset, that red global preset in the programmer. You can see that it's got the little red background. The red background means that the cues are activated. Whoops, I accidentally clicked it. So where do I want to store this red information? I don't want to store it in these buttons because I'd have to store it in each one of them. I want to store it in my marking queue. So I do store queue .1. It's going to ask me what I want to do with that data. I want to merge it. So now I've stored it into that Battlefield's main queue. And now red is our predominant color. Dun dun dun, like that. And then I want to have the third done kind of have a little bit of a fade out. Fade out, and then possibly what you could do, and this is like getting a little detailed, you could have this button also include orange, but since red is in the background of that other cue that's still active, it'll fade out to red as the dimmer fades out. So you're not going to quite see it 100% go to red. But if I reduce our off time, say we'll go up to 1 second, you'll see it a lot more clearly. So it'll flash to orange and then fade out red. So that's happening, but just at a much faster time frame. Dun, dun, dun. Yeah, like that. So now I can record those cues. And the beauty about this is I can go in and add more stuff to this later or completely change it. Right? So these are all basically placeholders. And if you're using presets and storing the cues in this kind of standard arrangement, yeah, those cues are tracking in the main sequence and they'll stay red until I change them. So technically, the instant before I hit this button, these were red. But in the exact same DMX frame where I tell them to go to full, they also change to red. Production quality of the stream is insane. Thank you. I worked really hard on it. We spent a lot of money. And it's still not quite there yet. I need to hire like a production director or somebody to like change screens and make it so that I don't have to do absolutely everything. Dun dun dun. Like that. I think that's decent for now. We can add some other stuff later, like maybe add like the JDCs moving up and down to that. Actually, yeah, let's do that. Let's just do it right now. So if we start with our JDCs at their 90 straight position, just throw that to Q.1, that's our marking cue. We could then make it so that store cue. Not sure if I want to do that yet. One thing I have noticed though is that is it just me or am I missing a section of lights here? I should have. Oh, let's see what's going on in capture here. Maybe my view is just messed up. Or maybe they're not patched or something? I thought I saw those lights earlier. Huh. That's a little strange. Oh, I know why. I'm an idiot. It's because I moved them. Now you should see them. Yeah, there we go. Because JDCs tilt. Of course they do. It's just sometimes hard to tell in the visualizer because I turn off the throws light feature in capture to get better performance. So right now we're getting like solid 30 frames a second. Even though we're like maxed out on JDCs and everything. Why don't I make a cue list with trig time so you only have to click it once instead of 3 times? Because I want to be able to also go other directions with it. So this time it'll go left, right, but the next time it'll go right, left, and then top, or it'll go any order. That's why. You can do it with just one button with trig time, but I want to be able to have some more flexibility. That's why. So since I recorded that, so that like distorted sound that I hear, I want to use the Vipers. I'm not exactly sure how yet, but I know for sure that they want to be on in this cue. So I'll do like Viper static And while that's on, I know that I'm probably going to want to have it ultra wide and some very quick rotation with maybe strobe or something. So I'll have this left side going anti-clockwise, go wheel 1, gobo wheel 1, and then the right side going clockwise. But we haven't thrown a gobo in yet, so let's do that. I kind of like that straight down look, even though it's just the default. It's actually not even a Q value. Can store this. We've got our ultra wide. Do our gobo 1 focus, even though capture, I have simulate focus turned off. Just for the preset, I want to make sure it's in there. And then we can do. Did I really not make a view for my? Yeah, I guess I didn't get around to making my beam view yet. So let's make that real quick. I was supposed to have all of these views made up, and I guess I didn't do it yet. So let's just do that real quick. Totally spaced on that, sorry. Was up super late last night. So I think if we just move those. Okay, that's decent enough for now. Beam. Select our spots again. And we will do max strobe. I'm going to do max strobe on just this queue. Yeah. Again, we can fine tune this all later, and I probably will change a lot of this, but that's okay. Yeah, I like that so far. So you hear that kind of reverse noise right here? That high-pitched, like, sounds like you're in Call of Duty and you just got flash grenaded, and your hands are up in front of your face, and you're trying to hit the guy. Okay, moving on. That little tiny... I live for those little sounds. I think they're so sick. So I'm going to use our washes for that, and those are these boys. They don't exist in a position yet, so I'm going to actually turn off the dimmer and turn on highlight, because I don't want to store what I'm about to do with dimmer. I don't want to store it with dimmer. So let's do gobo, ultra wide. And these will obviously be in... I kind of want to do these in white. Yeah, we'll leave them in white. But I still make sure to use the preset white, even though they technically like look like they default to white. Default values for white and like the actual white preset are oftentimes going to be totally different. One of my pet peeves actually is when people don't update their white preset and they just assume that everything open is going to look like the best white possible. No, like one of the things I do is actually like take time to calibrate the white, which I think some beginner LDs don't, not that I'm like an advanced LD or anything like that, it's still pretty simple stuff, but making sure that the open white looks consistent across all your fixtures. Try making a pop song as detailed as this stuff. I mean, I do. I work for Louis the Child. They have a lot of pop tracks. It's way simpler to do the pop tracks. Simpler, but more more like very specific with timings and detailed in different ways. So I think I want these to be low and straight with a red that shifts to white. Yeah, I think we'll do that. So we'll start with red, and I'm actually going to start narrow, super narrow. Store Q.1. So I'm going to store that as Q, store 1.5. I don't have to write in Q since it's implied, so I can just use store 1.5. And I'm going to call this, let's do reverse flashbang. This is the song's called Battlefields. It's not, I mean, obviously it's a flashbang. At this point, I'm also going to just renumber. Every once in a while, I'll renumber just to keep things straight in my head. So if you highlight the column, hit enter, and then just type your new Q number, and then you can change the width of everything. Yeah, every kind of music has its own challenges. So in the reverse flashbang, I'm going to have these guys go to white, I believe, right? And then blackout right at the blackout. Except let's do a cutesy little delay. And I want it to wipe down, so it would be like 0.1 through 0 through 0.1. And then watch this. Pro tips. Highlighting. Oh, no, I guess that didn't work. No pro tips. I thought that would work. 0.1 through 0 through 0.1, right? Maybe it will work. Can't remember if that works. It does. So when we store that to blackout, see how they wipe down like that? And then we can start with a build with our beams. We'll probably do the ground beams. So I'm going to put this in intro as a full cue without any effect, but I know I want to have like some sort of beat, some like ramp down beat. So let me see where we're at right now. I haven't adjusted the timings yet. That was trash. Oh, here's another thing. So you can temporarily, I'll do this a lot, include dim down values temporarily for like that Viper strobe hit. So even though I have this LED 2 kind of rising up in the background slowly, gotta remember now there's no longer a Q.1, there's just store Q1. I'm not sure why that didn't fire as I expected it to. Take a look. Yeah, it's not a color delay, it's just a dimmer delay. Which I guess technically, like, it's technically going to black, but I'm using the dimmer attribute. So what I could also do here is when the left one hits, I could turn off this side. And these are just like some color forces I have along the bottom of the deck here. So dun dun, and then it'll resume. I'm not sure how I feel about having that part fade in though. Maybe we'll just leave it like this. So we'll have left on, right on. Yeah, I'm okay with that. So that reverse flashbang needs to have timecode hit. Speed it up just a tad. Make it a little earlier. The one thing that I think MA could really speed up is like workflow between being in and out of queue list. I wish I could have an edit open for both the timecode pool item and the sequence editor. That would be sick. So reverse flashbang will go a little bit sooner. Even a little bit sooner than that. Even a little bit sooner. Just the tiniest bit, and then blackout will go a little sooner too. There we go. That's a little better. So now let's work on some effects maybe. Yeah, I think we can do some effects. Is this a real show he's working on or just for the stream? This is just for the stream. We don't have any real shows for quite a while, and I can't get my hair cut either, so it's just been kind of doing this. Yeah. This is not for a real project. So I hope you guys are all doing well. I'm going to take another quick little water break just because I've been behind on it anyways. Water gang. Water gang. Water gang. Oh yeah, the little white dot is the cursor. I'm sorry. Wow. Pro streamer. Definitely a professional streamer. I'll take a few questions here. Douglas Carmichael Can you use the MA platform for more improvised shows, i.e. firing cue list as if they were Ableton/Bitwig scenes and not strict time-coded shows? Yes. Yeah, you can use MIDI as an input and trigger executors that way. You can even use the analog input. Like you can use contact closures. There's a ton of ways to fire stuff in the MA. Timecode is just one of them. I know a couple people who run time-coded shows that aren't even timecode striped out. It's their artist playing along in Ableton, and MIDI gets sent to the desk. Gets set to an on-PC session in the desk, or an on-PC station in the session. Excuse me. Be more accurate about that. Thanks to everybody who's sticking around and answering other people's questions. It's nice to see that you guys are all friendly and participating. Who fire the timecode signal in gigs? Depends. In a show like this, I would have, let me just show you here. In a show like this, I would be using show control, which is probably going to crash on me now that I open it up. I've been leaving it running too long during the day. And then I come back and it's not working anymore. So maybe I'll show you that in a little bit. But yeah, usually if it's an Ableton show or someone who is like playing instruments on stage, there is a person whose job it is to control the playback of the show. It's literally called playback. And they sit on stage like usually next to the monitor engineer. Sometimes they are also the monitor engineer depending on the size of the show. And that person hits the play button on the show, and everything is like one big stack of stems, basically, like you would see in a project file for a DAW, digital audio workstation. And embedded in that timeline that they're playing is a SMPTE signal that gets sent down an XLR cable to front of house. That's it. Okay, let's get back into it. We're about halfway through the stream today, and then again, we'll be streaming tomorrow as well. I'm going to work on this a little bit this afternoon as well, clean it up a little bit, and then tomorrow there'll be another stream for the other half of the world starting at 6 p.m. my time, but it might be different where you live, so check the description. But if you can't make either of them or can't make one of them, then I just got a warning from YouTube that my stream bitrate is higher than recommended. Like I'm sending too much data to them. Anyways. In your Bumbershoot video, I thought it was super cool to see your POV troubleshooting on stage. I can feel the intensity. Thank you for that. Thanks for watching. I didn't know if I was going to include any commentary in that section, but I ended up not doing it both because I wanted to publish the video very soon and not do another voiceover. And I think it actually, like you said, added a little bit to the intensity. So here, during this intro, I'm going to go to this cue. So we're currently in Q5, which is this intro, what I want to be like this like left-right kind of rising build. So we'll start with our beams, first of all, highlighted, and I want to put them in red, which you can't really see with the highlight, but since we're in this intro cue, if I turn highlight off, we'll see red pop into the fixtures that were previously on. So now I'm going to do store Q1, not 0.1, get out of that habit, and then put them in full for this intro cue, store Q5. Additionally, I'm going to do the beam thing and put them into a narrow focus. Oh, I just touched my eye. Illegal. So that blackout happens, and then this is where I'm going to start that build. So to do that, let's do our... And I want everything to end straight out. So I think if we do the axioms in the air in like a lower position. Yeah, I like lower. And then do like an X, X1. Actually, make sure we both do X1 for both of those. Store Q1. Again, that marking Q is just kind of setting the stage, literally, for where the lights will be positioned before they start doing their thing. Q5 is a bit early. We'll change all the timings. Like, I don't want to get super crazy. I might actually check out that Reaper plugin. I didn't really like the idea of it before, but maybe it'll... Yeah. Wash your hands. I've got... where's my hand sanitizer? Oh, there it is. Remember, drink water. And use your Creative Color hand sanitizer. Oh, my gross nails. Nice. Creative Color. I think we got this in the airport. Water gang. Sanitizer gang. Okay. Now, as soon as I do this, it means I can touch my eyes until I touch my phone again, and then my eyes are off limits. Okay. Time to dip the eye in alcohol then, yeah. Product placement, yeah. I'm sponsored by Creative Color hand sanitizer from the SeaTac airport. The highest stream cam quality you've ever seen. Well, thank you. So I think if I start these guys higher, and now I can create an effect, selecting them all in a linear order. But I think, I'm not sure if this will work with the way I made this selection. Let me look here. No, it should work. So now I can, oh man, I still have all of my effects in here from the show I time-coded for Young Bae. Whoops. I didn't mean to do that. I'm just going to go to TC3 for now. And I create a blank effect tile at the beginning of each line, and we'll call this one Battlefields. I'll move this over later, just so you know. Creative Color sponsor, yeah, 2020 is the year. Who knew that we'd be sponsored by hand sanitizer? So I'm just going to create a ramp down dimmer effect here with groups of 2, and it'll probably end up being wings of... maybe it won't be any wings. Let's take a look. This is the kind of stuff that just takes a little bit of experimentation. Yeah, I think that's fine. So we'll go ramp, low value of -100, and then 0.5. But how do we link this to the BPM of the song, you ask? Okay, well, that's easy. First I'm going to label this ramp down intro. And this is a selective effect, you can tell because it has the little S on the effect tile. That means that it has fixture selections stored into it. Okay. So now I have this called into the programmer. I'm going to now store it to Q5. You can either say store Q5 or store 5, or you can just hit store and then tap on that. But remember, this is set to speed 1, okay? And speed 1 is currently set at 60 BPM, which is not what the song is. The song is 150 if I'm not mistaken. Let me double check that actually. Double, triple check. Yeah, it's 150. 150. So, what I can do, I can add a command to, my gosh, my command window is like huge in my console. I'm actually going to shrink that a little bit. Oh my god, can I not? Oh, there it is. I'm going to shrink this a little bit so it's a little more manageable. You can shrink that by just all you do is you grab the little divider and then you can set it to 420. Oh, you can't see the pop-up on the... Anyway, take my word for it, it's 420 pixels wide. Okay. So now we're back in Q5, but we want to go to Q1. Even though we're in Q5, I can still edit Q1. And I can say Speedmaster or Special Master 3.1, or you just say SM 3.1 at 150. You can even add a fade time to this, but I'm not going to. So now, when this fires, and let's just assign. So this fader right here, let's go into function special master. Scroll all the way down here to masters 3, speed master 1. So now if I test fire this, it sets it. You can also put this into your song macro, which I think is actually what I normally do. So I'm going to delete this from here. This is just one way to do it. You can also do it in your song macro. So as soon as the song macro fires, you can say Special Master 3.1 at 150. Then you can link this to like a BPM fader in show control as well. Spooky. I'm going to delete that from here just because I don't really want that Speedmaster on there. I was just showing you as an example. Weed number. Funny numbers. Yeah, there's a lot of people on the stream right now. This is cool to see. Cool to see and kind of sad to see because I'm sure there's, on a normal day, in a normal world, there wouldn't be as many people in here. But we just gotta deal with that. Okay. Nope. So during this part, I want to have the lights meet kind of in the middle, very slowly. These are all just axioms. They can be whatever. Like, you're just, this is the weird thing I see with people in their template files. They're like, oh, which spot should I use in my template file, or which beam should I use in my template file? You should be, well, this is, I don't want to say should because everybody can have their own workflow. That's totally chill. But my fixtures in here actually have a bunch of extra attributes that don't exist in the real fixture. Because if I run into something that has more attributes, like a third goba wheel, or more prisms, like a mega point or something, then I can save the parameters in the programming, because I'm using an external visualizer. And yeah, then I can keep all of the data, because I can still program with the data even if it doesn't have a DMX patch. How do I make sure the beats are matched so the lights don't hit blah 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 after the beat in the song? just that it's when the cue fires. So when that cue fires, that's when the start of the waveform of the like the saw waveform that you see in Q5 here. The 0 point of that cycle, if you're using the sine wave, or no, if you're using the, shoot, I don't want to say the wrong thing here. No, I'm using a ramp down. So it starts at 100% and then ramps down. So whenever that cue fires, that effect fires. See how it's, if I'm in Q4 here, on screen 2, let me show you here, there's a blue number in the effect pool number. 5192 in teal. It's not really blue. But that indicates that this effect is stored somewhere in the show file. Maybe one place, maybe multiple places. You can run a search on it and find out exactly where it is. But that indicates that it is in the show file somewhere. This second blue number, teal number, cyan number, below, indicates that it's currently playing back. So until I hit Q5, that effect is not playing. And the effect just contains, it only contains that dimmer effect. There's nothing else to it. So it can start pretty much instantly. So let's resume here, and we'll go to 90 straight. We'll go store queue 5.5. And this will be a follow queue, excuse me. And we'll make it, you know, another 10-second queue. And I call this like move fade, because in intro, it starts immediately. So now let's see what that kind of looks like here. So that part right there, when we get that static again, we'll do something cute and we'll change the rotation direction of the gobos. So those are originally going anti-clockwise, but now I'll make them clockwise. And I'll change that in the blackout queue. I use my blackout queues also for like a marking, if I don't need to add a delay to it. So now, by this time, they will be going the opposite direction. And since I didn't store direction into, maybe I did. I can't remember. Let's see. What did I store in there? No, I didn't. So I just stored, if you can see on the programmer, dimmer and beam information. So that rotation was stored, the rotation and gobo information was stored in marking queue number 1 now. Oh, touch my face. And then by the time they get to that blackout queue, they will internally flip directions, but they're blacked out, so you can't see. And then we can add in, for this occasion, since we're using an effect during this intro section, a dimmer effect, we also have to stomp the effect if we want to temporarily do that thing with the Vipers again. So I'm going to record that in. I'm gonna make this into like 11.2 seconds. That should be enough. So you see how it's a little bit off on the timing, and I apologize, this isn't like 100% synced up, so what you see on the screen and the stream might not be frame for frame what I see, because we've got like 3 different types of captures going on. We've got like NDI capture, camera up above, camera here, microphone, like everything all has its own slight little delay discrepancies. So I try my best to sync it all up. But if you see something that looks a little bit off, it might be off. I'll be real with you. It might be off right now, but we're just going to kind of get through the stream and continue it tomorrow, and I'll have a little bit more done. So that little like drop out there, I'm going to use it as a reposition for the lights to go back down and then build up again. So I'm going to do it that way, and then I'm going to reposition them so that they're in slightly different orientation. So I can say group 2 at, and then let's do at marking, and I'm going to turn off color and off focus. So that grabbed our position data originally from our marking queue. And I'm actually going to switch it to X2 just to provide a visual difference. It's like adding little differences, even though it's the same section technically, makes a big difference. And then we'll also add dim stomp to that. So now if I manually run through here, so break should stop it. And then now the beams should be starting inward instead of outward. Yeah, and that's right. So now when we store that same queue, go to the TC3 page, ramp down, we could maybe add something a little more, because this is like a little more of a hyped up section. So what we could do, I'm going to copy this effect, and let's add our RGB to it. Sign minus, speed group 1, oops, sorry, speed master 1 for our speed group. And then we'll do our high value as white. Our low value is red. Wings of 2, or groups of 2, excuse me. And I'm going to change some of our parameters here. Maybe I don't like that. Maybe instead of that we do a zoom. So then we can just swap out this attribute for zoom. Go from narrow to ultra wide. No, just do narrow to medium. Oops. Cool. So for that little break, it's the perfect excuse for some blinders. So you hear that like snare in the background? I'm gonna add that as a separate button down below here. And then time code it in real quick before I forget. Oh, did I not record it? So then I can add something like a quick little strobe stab. But thing about strobes is there's a couple more things to consider than intensity. So even though we flash our intensity up, by default, at least in the way I have it set up, the shutter is at 0, which is no good for having a quick little blast that fades out. Unless you want like literally just one hit, which could be a thing as well. But I'm gonna do it as kind of a medium fast. We'll do max strobe rate. Store Q1. So now, theoretically, do we not have that stored in there? Max strobe? Should be. I don't know why that was not hitting. And then we'll just do it as a 0.15. So wait a second. Oh, I see. Doesn't visualize too well, but that's okay. So then after break, I'm going to have those blinders go down to 0. Store 8.5. Blinders fade out. Make this a follow cue. Then 0.2. Oh, whoops. Restarting the whole thing, I guess. So that hey, definitely add that as like some blinders. So that's perfect for storing to a handle. Call this one hey. And I'm going to make this a temp fader with a slightly higher priority. And I'm going to turn off all the other buttons except for the temp fader because, well, maybe I'll leave flash on. So you hear there's kind of a addition of some extra haze in there. Hey, 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 hey. So he continues until that drum fill. So that drum fill is going to be sick. We'll do like open white strobe, random effect form. We're getting there. So I need to separate that snare. What I can do instead of, you can either re-record it because I messed it up, or you can just shift all the cue events. So if we highlight here, edit timecode, you can also see the graphical breakdown of that vocal thing that I just did. So you can go in here and literally keyframe this. And you can like copy different sections. So if I needed to copy this exactly, we could copy that and throw it over here. If we needed to add another hey exactly like we did it before, but I don't need to. But instead, what I do need to add is, oh, where did it go? The strobe, the snare. Yeah, the snare needs to be fixed. So I can highlight this and literally just shift the entire press and unpress event, because with the temp button, there's both the press and then the unpress. It's two events. It's probably going to end up somewhere in here, I'm guessing. And that I'm going to move back a little bit. Yep, so right around there, but I'm going to move it just a little bit more. So now I need to add that movement back up again because we're bringing our beams back up towards the ceiling, or towards straight out. I'm going to turn off a setting here. And do keep playbacks for now. Just so that I can program this without having to start it every time. Store 9.5, and this will be our Move fade again, and this will be a follow. Same amount of time as our last. I don't like the zoom. I'm gonna get rid of the zoom. So I'm gonna go in and go to focus. Just remove. Yeah, why is it still playing? I don't want to stomp it. God. Yeah, so with that Viper thing, I'm going to remark the Vipers, because right now they are still doing this. But I want them to be open white, narrow. I'll do some sort of like fan inward split position. So go like low. Not sure what I want to do exactly. Just kind of experimenting with some different presets. Not exactly sure what I want out of this. Yeah, something like that. It's pretty cool. Maybe see if we can make this fan down look a little better. No. So we'll go with that for now. And that'll be, go into blind for a second. I gotta remember where our last moment. So I'm gonna add into the break, and then I'm gonna label this as remark Vipers. Except I don't want them at full, excuse me. So I'm gonna remove that dimmer information and update. We hit update, that'll show destinations for recently, for values that you would be changing based off what you just put in the programmer. Just gonna add a little bit of a oh, here's a good note for you guys. There's a difference between Q fade times and what's called individual fade times, or I fade. So if you're in a queue list or a sequence like this fade column that you see in my sequence editor, so this fade column with all this stuff in it, think of these as instructions for everything in that queue that doesn't have an individual fade time. So individual fade time will override queue fade time. So it's kind of like a priority thing. So the queue fade time here that I have highlighted in blue, that column takes a lower precedence or lower priority than an individual fade time. So you see this orange highlighted cell right here? That means that there is an individual delay time. We can also have individual fade times. So for this one queue where I was just editing the blackout, I'm going to go over to our washes, and I didn't quite like how they just like completely snapped out. I want just like the tiniest little bit of a fade without affecting everything else in the queue. So what I can do then, select the fixtures, hop over to the programmer, and individual delay is by attribute. And if you have linked attributes, like see how it says link feature right here, and you can change it to say, link single or link feature. Usually link feature is decent for like position, things like that. For dimmer, I just want to have the slightest delay on only these fixtures. So I can do that, type in 0.05 for my delay, and then store that to the queue that has our blackout. So now, when we do that blackout, there's just the slightest like easing off of it because it was a little too harsh, I think. Am I coughing? No. No, I'm not coughing. Don't report me to the CDC. So that drum fill, I'm going to do separately. I'm just going to hold that key down right now. So that one's going to be our drum fill. So that one drum fill is going to be a temp button, but that last drum fill right before the impact, that one is going to be in our main sequence. I'm going to call this what the drum fill. George. So in that drum fill, I need to store some stomp information for the dimmer of the beams. Don't forget to turn blind off. And I'm going to change the priority as well to high. So in that drum fill, this drum fill, I want it to be more of a symmetric, but that final drum fill where it's going crazy, I want to do something a little different. So let's go to our spots. In this layout view, I can either select like linearly, or I just kind of have a shorthand figured out for being able to type in groups really fast. So I have group already highlighted as my default keyword. You can see it in, I've talked about this in other videos, but in the command line, there's a little gray keyword that's grayed out, and it used to bug me because like I couldn't figure out exactly what it was, or like that was probably the thing that bugged me the most when I first started learning MA. I was like, does that gray word matter at all? Does it like affect anything if I start typing other stuff? And no, it doesn't. It's just there as a like a way to, it's a default keyword. So instead of having to type group 7, all I have to type is 7 now. That's the only thing. That's the only reason. Doesn't affect anything else. So if I just type 52 and highlight, I know that, whoops. Am I stupid? Group 52. Oh, I'm in a different world. Sorry. So I was in the spots world. So if I type 52 and hit highlight, I know that that's always going to be my beam fixtures. If I hit 51 and highlight, I know it's always going to be my spot fixtures in non-linear order, in a symmetrical order. So it like goes in, out, in, out. So when I run effects on it, it looks pretty cool. So let's, instead of creating a entirely new effect, let's just copy our ramp down intro. I'm going to call this drum fill Vipers. Drum fill Vipers sim. You can get crazy with like naming conventions and like updating macros that, you know, change selection order based off of the name of the effect pool item, but I'm not that crazy. So for this, we're probably going to want to do a much faster rate. Oops. Meant to do my spots. Take selection. Maybe a little too fast. What do you think? So if we do like maybe groups of 3, no. This is the part where it just comes down to experimentation. Maybe do groups of, maybe groups of 4. If I do groups of 6, it could be interesting if I reduce the width. Because you can make it where there's only like one light on at a time. If you reduce the width of that PWM effect. Could even do like 4 wings. Maybe bounce it. Just got to experiment a little bit sometimes, guys. There, I kind of like that. Maybe speed it up a little bit. Maybe like 1.5. You can also simulate like strobe with the dimmer channel. So if I just reduce the width of the PWM effect, it's not actually affecting the strobe channel at all, but it's making the effect more staccato. It's like quicker like that. Which, I don't know, I'm not sold on this. Maybe it's 3 wings. Maybe it's no wings. And the beauty of this is I can experiment with it until I kind of like it. And then I can come back and edit all of these things. So I think I'm going to do that. Drum fill. And I think I'm going to speed it up a little bit. 1.33. So the out was a little late. So move the drum fill a little bit early, and then like maybe 1. Sorry, just catching up on chat for a second, make sure I'm not missing anything. Seaberg asks a good question. So what exactly are you doing here? I'm a complete noob. If you're like new and you don't know anything about this, this is basically what I'm doing is I'm creating a visual playback, a visual like representation of this song. And this is a process that takes a long time. It takes even longer when you have to like sit and stop for a second and explain things or back up. But essentially, time coding is taking a song and creating a series of cues for this light show. There's a virtual stage over here. And we're just going through the process of making this stage look like how the song sounds. And we use a couple different tools to do that. That thing that looks nice and pretty over there, that visualizer with the flashing lights, that is basically a simulator for a stage in real life that has lights hanging in the air and video screens and all a bunch of fancy expensive stuff. And this desk here, this is a lighting console, Grand MA2, that allows us to control those lights and those fixtures and the video screens, all sorts of stuff. So what I'm doing is I'm going step by step and essentially just breaking down the song into its compositional parts and creating cues through programming in this software-hardware combination to put it onto the visualizer. So I don't know how noob you wanted me to get with the answer, but that's essentially it. So it's a complex series of computers that are making a light show for a song. Just going to answer a couple more questions and then do maybe another hour of streaming, and then we'll get off. We'll get at least the first 30 seconds of this done. Let's see, anything else in here? Hope you guys are all having a great day. again, if you're just tuning in, this will be available pretty much immediately after I end the stream. Last time I forgot to end the stream and there was like 2 hours of black screen. uh Who love CJ's camera shutter setting like me? We don't see the backlit keystrobe as others' videos. Yeah, you're talking about the frame rate between the console dimming of its keys and the overhead camera. Yeah. Would ETC be able to do anything like this or just an MA thing? Yeah, you can do this with ETC. Oh, great. And now there's a truck backing up outside. Can you guys even hear that? Oh, wow, that is cool. I'm watching my my gate and compressor. I think I set this microphone up pretty good. Hi, what did I miss? Well, you missed about 2.5 hours of programming, and we've only gotten the bare bones done. So I'm going to work a little bit more tonight. And then tomorrow we'll have more of a fleshed out stream. But like I said, this will be available. When you're creating this time cue, do you just press play and it runs through the sequence, or do you need to physically play the show back per song? So what? This is a good question. There are some people who will do a layout like this, where every song has its own macro, and the whoever is playing it back will just tap on a song when the song transitions. But we, or you know, I particularly work with a lot of DJs who are transitioning between songs, and so I've basically built this show automation thing. I don't know what to say. It is an automation queue or an automation sequence that is also time coded and listening to the same timecode slot as the audio or as the actual songs you're listening to. So this is an automated or a time-coded automation of hitting those macros. So the song doesn't go until 2 conditions are met. That macro gets fired for the song, and I'm receiving timecode for that section. So that show automation clip does both of those things at once. It automatically listens for the right timecode section, and then it fires the right macro. So if I receive any timecode between 20 minutes and 30 minutes, it knows that I'm playing, that this song is being played, and then it fires that macro, if that makes sense. And yeah, guys, there are some helpful links in the description. There's also a Discord fan server that has been set up. I didn't really have any part in setting it up, but they've been doing a good job of moderating it and having some good discussions in there. So if you are one of the Discord users out there, I don't use Discord hardly at all except for when I play Call of Duty with friends. And I don't know much about it or how to set it up, but there is a Discord link if you want to hang out with other people after this stream is done. So how is the time code triggered? By show control, manual, or from the beginning of the set? Any combination of those things. It doesn't matter. It can come from show control, it can come from my laptop. They're all on the same timecode slot. But once we get into a show situation, then I make sure that the laptop can't fire the MIDI timecode. What do you do when a DJ is playing tracks on the fly? I just hit I have a button that switches the whole show file over to busking mode. And then it's like 2 seconds and then I'm in the game. Happens more often than you would think. Ignore the red screen. I think I'm actually going to dim that down. Resloom's controlling the screens, and it's in the... Okay, so I'm going to get back to I'm gonna be surprised if this doesn't get like copyright struck. I'm trying to keep it pretty low volume so that I can still like. So that drum fill. I wonder if there's anything. So that drum fill, I'm gonna have to turn the beams off, I think. I don't really want to. Nah, I have to. And I'm gonna use that as a marking opportunity. Mark beams. And then we'll go back to that effect that we made. The drum fill for the Vipers. And again, like I said, you can just do little things like switching the direction, then maybe changing the number of wings. Or just do shuffle selection. You can do this with using an actual like preset for beam, but I prefer doing these random dimmer PWM chase things because when I go to clone it, this will clone a lot easier, more quickly. You don't really know what you're ever going to get with some fixtures sometimes with their capabilities with the strobe channel. So drum fill, Viper, sparkle, random. I want to call it sparkle. Oh, here's a good one. So if I have just one queue in this list where I only have this dimmer effect that I want to just be in this queue and then not be in any subsequent queues, if I hit the store button, then tap the queue, and I do queue only and merge, when I clear out, only Q12, queue only, will have that. Now I'm also going to add drum fill for the strobes. So even though this has a selection order stored into it, what are wings? Wings are a way of mirroring selections through an effect line, or through the M matrix. So I'll grab strobe sim and take selection, and then do a good old couple shuffles. That looks like a good random one. Remember, we want to do store queue only on this queue. So now when we hit it, I hear that like little scream in the background, that ah! Kind of want to do, did I use this at all? I might do the scream as a separate. I also try to keep these in order as a progression of the track goes on, so it keeps it easier in my mind when I want to go back and edit things if I don't label them properly, which I oftentimes do. Okay, so we'll go with the capture screen. Yeah, it's a combination of the the reason why it's nice to not have them copyright struck is sometimes they'll be blocked in certain countries by whoever is the copyright holder. There's a really good video by Tom Scott. It's like 40 minutes long about why copyright on YouTube and in general is the way that it is. A very fascinating video. I might actually throw it in the description. But yeah, the reason why I talk over a lot of parts is not because that is like some sort of immunity towards any legal repercussions for playing these tracks, because technically I don't own the tracks. Like, I don't own the rights to play this. Like, I'm playing little bits of it, but it's still not mine to play. So instead, I just try to avoid the algorithm picking up on it. The other option is to use royalty-free music, but I get kind of sick of using the royalty-free music. Now for this, I'm going to do a this like build section. We're going to do the beams again, but they're all going to be in like a straight position. Beam hit. But I'm going to have a longer fade out. 1 second. Yeah, that'll be good. I'm just going to tap these in. So I'm in record mode once again. I'm going to delete that last one. Do something cool. I'll show you something with worlds here in a second too. If you guys know me, you know how much I love worlds. And this is a good opportunity for this. So that last beam hit, I think I'm going to delete. Delete. This is the part if you've ever seen me talk about editing keyframes. It's literally just scrolling through here and making sure these are all the same duration, because everything's in frames, 30 frames a second. You can do it in 100 frames a second and interpolate it when you play it back, but might as well just do it in 30 from the get-go. Okay, so I think that 1 second fade out time is pretty good. Probably keep it there. And then during that, I'm going to add a random effect to our LEDs 1 and 2. We can add these to the same effect since there's no like real selection. It's just shuffle selection order. Again, we'll go to our drum fill, cue only, merge. And then I might as well make those all white. Again, cue only. So now when that drum fill hits, get all that action. That first hey needs to be a little sooner, doesn't it? I said I wasn't going to do all this little tiny minutia, but here I am. Just move this back a little bit. I think what I'm going to do is add these washes, because they haven't done anything since the intro, to that little drum fill. That drum fill here. This one. I think maybe what would be a good thing to put here? Oh, I know what I'm gonna do on the screen though. That's for sure. Josh, when he plays, he does this thing where it's like when that scream sample happens, he like mimics it on stage. So I think it'd be funny to light him up. So we could do our back special in like a very actually, I'm just gonna highlight it for now. And to be honest, I should probably just put the front, back, and side specials all focused there. Store Q1. And then probably do like open gobo, medium, do wide, white, frost to 0, open, all that stuff. Store Q1. So when he does the scream, we can do the back in a strobe. And then the front and side in like a dark red again. So you kind of get that like horror look. Sorry, catching up with chat for a second. Just want to make sure I'm not missing anything. Those JDC ones visualize way too well. Kind of. I don't think they really have very good effect with the tube. Yeah, I gotta do something cooler with that impact section part where it impacts down. How do you go about updating cues which have individual fade/delay times when you clone over from stage to stage? I don't update it. I don't update individual fade times. That's kind of one of those things where, I mean, you could go through and make a bunch of macros that rewrite a bunch of individual fade times, but like, man, that's one of the things that MA is really weak at, is having like, I wish there were some sort of like time presets that could scale across a selection. You can kind of fake it with, I mean, there's just no good way. There's no good way to do it on MA2 without, I mean, you could do it with like Lua, but I'm not a Lua god. I don't know anything about Lua. There are a ton of dudes out there who are really good at it. They probably have a way to do it. I don't see it being super necessary for a lot of the shows that I do. I think when you're worried about individual fade and delay times cloning on a festival stage, I think that if that's your biggest problem, you have pretty much nailed everything else and you're probably in a pretty good position. Top hello from France. Merci. New streaming setup is badass. Nice work. Thank you. I'm enjoying it. Oh. Those thick wave files, man. Alright, so what do I want to do in that drum fill? This part right here. I kind of want to do red and white strobe. So not a... I have an idea. So I think if I do, in addition to a red and white random strobe, I have a dimmer effect. We can copy our ramp down again. Make sure if you do that though, that you're copying something and not keeping the old selection order. So I was in a world right there, and that didn't affect, that made it so that when I took selection, it didn't remove the old selection. But now I did, so it's fine. So this one, let's do like what, blocks of 6, and then like wings of 2. And then what? I want to do PWM form. PWM is like really the only form. Yeah, so I want to do something like this with like a low of maybe like 5. Something that shows that they're still on. So I feel like a lot of people do dimmer effects that are like from 0 to 100 and then back to 0, and they don't really think about how it'll look for, you know, non-LDs. I think it looks better to have, for instances like this, some sort of, the light is like is never going to 0. I don't know. That was like a really long drawn out way of saying that. PWM is the waveform, yeah. So all of these effects are literally just waveforms that are repeating over time. Or if you have single shot on, it only goes once. The waveform goes once and then stops. But yeah, they're just cycles, and you can go between different values. So values can be positions, they can be colors, be dimmer like I'm doing right now. So this is a dimmer effect. And you can also, because PWM is so awesome, you can add easing in and like delays, or easing in basically like keyframes. It's like a path. It's like a dummy path. Dumb version of path that you would have in a cue list. So this would be MH effect chase in. I'm going to throw that to that drum fill key. So now it'll do that, and I'm probably going to speed it up. Let's go to like rate of 1. And then let's do a take selection, or cell fix. And let's make a color effect. We'll go between, let's go red on the low end. I tend to think of the low end as the, like, just in my mind, I think of it as the part of the effect that gets shown less, even though you can invert these values. It doesn't matter. Like, you can really do it however you want, but I tend to think of it that way. Speed group doesn't really matter for this, because I want to make like a random white sparkling effect type of thing. And if we run this, in addition to this, Nothing's happening. Great. Oh, because I did red and red. That's actually another trick you can use, though. Like, there's a couple ways you can use low and high presets being the same preset. Some tricky ways. I can't believe we've had 500 people in here at minimum the whole time. It hasn't gone below. It's at its lowest right now because we're 3 hours in. I mean, of course. So now that I've added the white, I'm gonna change the width a little bit. Go to like 5, and do shuffle selection order. Maybe we go like 10. And I want to increase the speed a little bit, I think, like 100. Yeah, I think that's cool. Just throw that to drum fill. You guys want to see what it looks like when I turn on the fill light or throws light feature? By the way, this is the new airport stage that we're working on. Oh man, it's silly. Man, it really starts choking. Okay, I'm gonna grab all of these JDC ones, Control Shift T. Pause this for a second, chill out. Then we can go over, where am I going? Selected items. And if I go down to this option called Throws Light and turn it on, first of all, RIP GTX 1080 Ti. So you saw the difference in that flash with the JDCs. That's like what it actually looks like with throws light. Turn the phone screens on. Okay, turn the phone screens on just because you asked so kindly. If they'll turn on, NDI's been acting weird out of this computer. So I've got work. Nah, I'm not gonna do this right now. There's a bunch of phones in here. Oh, it's because I turned. Okay, no, this will be fine. So this is like the high performance mode for the visualizer where I strip out. I made a filter basically that is a max performance filter that I just dragged onto here, and it removes all of the like polylines and all the 3D geometry that I don't really need to previs, but when I want to render it, I pop it all in. So if I go back to like, now clean still has it in there. I have to go in here and remove the filter. Yeah, so I gave everybody phone screens. The video is not time coded yet, obviously. See how bad the performance is? It's like laughably bad, but it's also because I'm streaming too. So there's a little bit of that headroom being taken over. But yeah, everybody in this stage has phones. And they're looking at the visuals. It's kind of silly, I know. Man, we haven't even gotten to the drop yet. Like 3 hours in. I'll go a few more minutes here. We've got like 500 people, so of course I'll stick around. I'll do like 15 more minutes of this, and then we'll do 15 minutes of Q&A, general questions about this particularly, or anything that you might be confused about. Looks fine to me. Yeah, the quality information is at like 15 frames a second. So I'm going to turn that max performance filter back on. And then eventually we're going to get to the point with this show, or with this, what do I want to say here? With this timecode live stream. I think by next week we'll have this song done. Yeah, the phones look surprisingly good. I'm going to turn off this screen though. We can get back to want to work on this drum fill thing. I think I want to work on maybe what those washes look like exactly. Whoops, undo that. Yeah, so I'm just temporarily putting in that dimmer and focus information so that I can create a position for them, excuse me. Oh, that's great. I think that'll look good with these. So I'm going to turn off dimmer and put that into our break cue. I keep hitting spacebar on Resolume and it keeps doing the tap BPM. Another fun thing that I like to do is I'll add paths like I was talking about. So in this cue path, I'm going to want to add, I want to undo what I just did. So I'm going to remove these values and create, I like using follow cues rather than parts. Wow, the Discord just reached 105 members. Yeah, guys, go check out the Discord. I'll be hanging out in there today, too. Be working on this, continuing to work on this, and getting ready for tomorrow's live stream. I don't expect you to watch all of them, but I figured it'd be fun to make a couple songs together and see how they render out. Capture looks amazing, but it's kind of poopy for more advanced paperwork. Yeah. The paperwork is definitely the weak part. I've switched over to Vectorworks for paperwork for the most part. I'm finally like decent enough at it where I can put something together that doesn't look like complete trash. And then I still use Capture for rendering and previs and just like fun stuff like this, because it's so fast to just build shows. Hang on, let me fix this. Okay, sorry about that. So I'm going to make this Q 13.5. Whoops. And this is just a follow cue. Breakdown follow. Because I want to add a path to this cue and have just a little more control over it. I feel like with parts you don't have as much control, because you don't. So I'm going to add full here, and then individual fade time for those color force cells. I think they've got like the border lens in it or something like that. 0.4. Now, when I hit update here, it's going to update. This is like one of the weird things about individual fade times. It shows up in the update menu, even though there was no original individual fade time. there's just default of 0 or of no individual fade time. It's kind of one of those weird, like, doesn't really follow along with the rest of the MA philosophy, but I'm okay with it. Now, why did my dimmer not fade? Do 0.1. Oh, I guess it does follow along because it didn't actually update it. 0.35. See, and if I hit update, it says it went away, but did it? It did. I don't know. Maybe I did something wrong. Maybe I did something wrong there. I'm sure someone will point that out. Do you ever use parts and queues? Sometimes, not only if I need to for some like technical reason for like command queues or there's very few sections in the show file where I do part queues. It's good for like separating out the same exact queue for like different departments and having different labels. That's like the only thing that I really like it for is the labeling difference. Yeah, Vectorworks is so much more powerful with its reporting and 3D modeling features. Like I've been spending all day every day when I'm not doing this or doing other MA related stuff. It's been Vectorworks time. Vectorworks time for me all day long. I'm getting okay at it. I can like I've got a couple stages built in it. It's just like it takes a long time. It takes a long time to learn it, and I want to learn it on my own. Like through watching the university courses on Vectorworks website. But yeah, I want to get as good at Vectorworks in the next 2 years as I want to get to the same level as I am with MA. So I'm working on it. Working on it, I promise. And then once I learn all that, we can have another series of videos. That's the great thing about this industry, I think. Oh, did I accidentally do delay? I must have accidentally done delay, which is what I wanted to do anyways. I feel like there's a slight delay on these. Who cares? I wanted to do it anyways. This would be a great instance for having some sort of time or delay pool item. So since I want these to start from 0 and go outwards, it would be 0.25, or no, 0.2 through 0 through 2, 0.2. It'd be great to have a macro for, or a pool item for that, what I just did right there, but there's not. Okay, so now we have these individual fade times and delay times in here. And if I go over to path here, you can create what's essentially a dampened curve of those values that you just put in there over time. Vectorworks Vision integrates previs and design. Yeah, it does, except I don't own Vision. I already own Capture, and I don't want to spend another $2,000 on a separate software to learn a new one. If I already have Capture, I'm going to keep Capture. That's why. Like if I was starting from scratch, I would just learn, I would still probably use Capture. Capture looks great. It looks fantastic. The only major thing that that Vision has that Capture doesn't have is the driver for MA parameters. But that's going away with MA3 anyways. Okay, anyways, so as I was talking about, I have some default, oh my god. I have some default, what do I want to say? Please let me just click on this. So the breakdown follow queue, path. We can go to low high. So low high means that it will start slow and then speed up, which is what I want. So there was some sort of delay. Oh, I see. I started to the wrong queue. That's why. My mistake, guys. My mistake. And the delay, too. So I'll remove the dimmer delay. I stored it to the wrong queue. There's still some weird... Oh my god. Remove, please. You guys see what I'm seeing right now? Remove. Remove. There. Okay, I think we're better now. And then in that breakdown queue, I want to change this to like a really deep indigo. Yeah, like that. I think it'd be cool to like have it kind of like pulsing, like left, right. Like. So let's do that. Which actually, I'm not sure how to, now if I do blocks of 36, that should be fine. And we'll just do a sine wave between 50 and 100 and have it really slow. Probably speed it up just so that we can see what we're working with here. 36 blocks, sorry. Yeah, I like that. That's cool. LED 2 pulse. Hey, pulse. What's up, Jason? Oh yeah, I forgot we've also got we'll put Magix in here, we'll put Resolume in this time code. We'll do like a whole show with it. So I'm going to store this to to Q13.6 and do another follow because I want that to like wipe in and then start doing the pulse, but do it slowly so you don't really notice it. So maybe like 4 seconds. Heartbeat. So I'm going to use that breakdown cue from earlier to hide the reposition movement of all the moving lights. And then I'm going to store an empty queue right now. This is going to be my move follow. And then when Josh does that scream thing, I'm also going to turn off everything else. Spot beam washes, LED, strobe, JDC tube, blinders, everything is going to be dim stomped in that queue. Oops, excuse me. Corona getting me. Cool. I'm gonna hold the scream just a little bit longer. Edit time code. Graphic. Scream. Scream. Just hold it just like a slight bit longer. You can see that it doesn't quite match up to our breakdown. And I want it to hold that whole duration. Look at my hair. Jesus Christ. There we go. That's what I wanted. Now I want to hear how many dun, dun, dun. Bum bum bum. Dun, 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 dun. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I got to think of like what kind of sets of 4 I have in here, because I want to do like a 1, 2, 3, 4 by group or by world, not by fixture type. If that makes sense. So I think if I do hit 2, hit 3, hit 4, so they're like boom, 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 like that, something like that, and then have those be different sections of the rig, like maybe floor, wings, upstage, downstage. Not totally sure yet. Not totally sure. Unable to connect to chat. Uh-oh. Scared. I still have green bitrate. I have green everything here. Why can I not connect to chat? Scary. Very spooky. Okay, I think we're good. I think we're good. Okay, guys. I'm going to wrap up the programming section of this, just so that we have enough to continue with tomorrow. You don't get too bored of me. But I want to say thank you to everybody for joining so far. Again, if you are watching this in the future, there will be more videos, and I'll link them. I'll forget to link them up there, and then someone will let me know that I forgot to link it up there. So if you're the first person to notice that I forgot to link it up there, send me a message down below. But for all of you who are watching live, thanks for tuning in. We'll do a little bit more Q&A if I can actually connect to chat. I'm gonna actually pull up my my own YouTube on. Oh no, that's scary. I can't pull that up on there. I have to pull it up on. Yeah, I still got good green signal. It's interesting. Yeah, but if you guys are watching live, I did post a new schedule in my description. Full playthrough, so far to the end, there's like not that much. I mean, I mainly just did this first like couple seconds here, dude. Those lights aren't supposed to be on. I'm gonna continue to talk here. Just oh shit, I'm not even on here. My bad. That was stupid. I'm gonna fix a lot of these timing things. I'm gonna add some more stuff tonight on my own, just because I don't want to waste your guys' time with me just like sitting here experimenting with stuff. Because a lot of this timecode stuff is just sitting down and working through it. And then I can show you. And that's pretty much how far we are right now. I know I'm an idiot. Okay. So now that I figured that one out on my own. What, you guys don't want to see my reacting to this video that I'm currently in? Okay. So that's all we've done so far, but we have a good footprint. And I'm just going to do some work off stream, because I've been sitting here for 3.5 hours and I got 2 hours of sleep last night. Just like getting everything ready and testing everything and making sure it was actually going to work. But that's what we want to see. Okay. Pixel map from Resloom and send it to MA. I mean, if you guys want to hang out, I'll go for another like 30 minutes or so, just like not really interacting with chat. I'll probably actually take off. No, I won't take off headset. It's too dope. Okay, we'll hang out for a little bit longer. And then I need to get some food very soon, so. Severely underestimate the boring parts. Okay. All right. I'm going to put a virtual sticky note over chat. Oh God. Can you be my apprentice? I don't really need one, to be honest. Well, I need one, but here's the problem with like just intern or apprenticeship or like offering to do stuff for me. First of all, thank you. Like I appreciate that you're thoughtful enough to think of that. That's actually very, very nice. The problem is, and Louis Rossman has a very good video about this, about how it actually costs more to hire someone who's free than it is to hire someone who is like an actual, that you hired to do the job that you need them to do. It just takes such a long time to get someone who is like intern or just starting out up to the point where they can actually be like helpful and understand my workflow. So it's not like a personal thing. I just don't really have anybody to do that. If I need someone to do something, I'll hire them as a contractor. I don't really have any internship type things. Chris Cervantes. This is pretty sick. Another job added to the EDM world. I always knew it was more than a management team. This equipment costs money. Yeah, it does. Thanks for tuning in. Appreciate it. Okay, now that all the losers have left who didn't want to hang out and like just watch the boring stuff, now that I tricked them into leaving, why don't I require a full size at certain gigs? It depends on the gig. If it's a timecode show, and I don't know if you noticed or not, but this is a light. There's no, I know you can't really see it, but I mean, you can tell the numbers end in 15 here instead of 30. So, yeah, I mean, it's nice to have a full size, I guess, but I don't really need it. I program everything on the light, so as long as I have enough parameters on the stage, I don't really care. What do I have in the top left? This is just the timecode event viewer, not like Microsoft event viewer or Windows event viewer, excuse me. It basically just shows all of the actions, a list of actions for this timecode. So this will be thousands of events long by the time we're done with this song. Are you already used to owning a desk, or is it still a bit crazy? It's very crazy. I think it's like probably the craziest thing I've ever done. I mean, it costs as much as a new car, so, and it makes you money. I don't have enough money to invest in real estate, so investing in equipment is the next best thing, even though it depreciates still. It's not exactly an appreciating asset, but it doesn't go down in value, and it allows me to work from home, make videos like this. So it generates income. If I was buying an MA3, would you get the light with monitors or a light CRV? I'm looking at a light right now. Just another MA. The light is such a good size, I think. Link to the Louis Rossmann video, please. Let me grab it. I might just put it. Well, no, I mean I really like. If you guys don't watch Louis Rossmann, he's incredible. He's like a true entrepreneur who started from nothing. Internship. We don't hire interns. Oh yeah, I think this is it. Let me see. Yeah, here's the video. I found it. This is if you guys want a good YouTube channel that has a lot of like business stuff and tech related stuff, Louis Rossmann has a fantastic YouTube channel. How long does it take to earn the money of the desk back? I'm almost there. I'm really close, and I've only had it for. Oh, sorry guys, I just destroyed the microphone with my hand. I mean, it depends on your market, right? So I end up actually not renting my desk out a lot because I need to use it at home for personal projects. So I'm literally using the desk about half of the year straight. And then the other half is available. But a lot of times I rent it out on shows that I'm also doing. And so I get an extra rental fee for that. But it's not like I need to pay it off or anything. Like I bought it. There's no payment for it. But if I add up all the math in about 1 year, no, now I'm at like what, a year and a half of owning this console, maybe 2. No, a year and a half for sure. Then I want to say it's like 70% recouped its value, but I haven't had any any insane failures. I had to replace a RAM stick. G-Skill. In Washington D.C. So that was like, $50 because we had to get it from like Micro Center or some stupid place. Well, that is kind of a boring thing to just have on the screen, isn't it? All boomers be asking about the only lighting dude they know. No, Gabe's a nice guy. He's like really good at what he does too. Just because he's the most popular LD in the world doesn't mean it's boomer. Is it worth learning and using Show Express to start, or what is best to learn on / most industry standard? I advocate learning there are 2 things that I advocate learning if you want to do programming. The first one being MA, because it's the most industry standard for pretty much every type of show right now. ETC is a little more specialized for theater, but MA does theater as well. So learn MA, first of all. And then second of all, you need to use the one that is going to help you make the most money in your local area. So not every local area is inundated with MAs. I mean, even Seattle, when I moved here, the only place that had MAs was Christie Lights, as far as I know. Now it's become a little more popular because, well, we've been doing more shows up here, and bigger shows mean MAs usually. And Christie Lights is up here and they own MAs. Other people start buying MAs, including me. So yeah, learn MA and then learn the one. Show Express is fine, by the way. For the price, it's pretty good. But if you're looking for something like really cheap and you're starting from nothing and you have no idea about anything, I would, Camsys on PC or Camsys Magic Q. Understand that internships are a productivity lag, but would a paid warehouse technician position? Yeah, yeah. That's a really good place to start. Start as like literally someone who is cleaning cables. Someone who's pushing a broom in a shop. That's a good way to get your foot in. And like you need to, like the problem is once you get to a level of proficiency with all of this, it really is just like building Lego sets of different Legos into different configurations. It's the same Legos every time, but it all goes together in a certain way, but until you understand how those pieces work with each other, it doesn't matter. You could be the most creative person in the world if you don't know how it all goes together from the ground up. You're probably not going to have a very good time with it. So yeah, start as much at the bottom as you can, whether that's working at a shop or there's a couple places around here like, well, I mean not right now, but PNTA for example, if you want to help ship orders, that they ship theater parts for consoles and lights all around the country. If you can just get involved in any way you can at like the ground level of either a manufacturer or a local shop that does shows. Did Q always have a command wing? Yes, it did. It originally just had a command wing. It didn't have the MIDI-Con. It didn't have the Allen and Heath QU16. It all ran off of a single little like Sony Vaio laptop. COVID-19 discount for your merch? No, I don't do any discounts on it unless it's a friend and I give it away for free because I make like $5 total off of each one. Not like that I don't want to give a discount to anybody, but I don't know if you have noticed or not, but except for like in descriptions of videos and stuff, I haven't posted about anything merch because I think it's kind of tacky to do that right now. So I'm not like promoting, like I've got probably 6 new shirts that I haven't even released because I don't want to like release it as something that I don't want to release it now anyway because all this stuff that's happening. So they're just kind of sitting in boxes. I think it's kind of tacky to try to promote merch. If I had like nothing else, like if I didn't have live stream stuff or donations or Patreon or anything like that, maybe I would promote merch, but I think it's kind of tacky right now. The shipping costs are so high. You want to know the crazy thing about international shipping cost is I'm actually losing more money by the time you pay for it. It ends up being like an average shipment for one hoodie to Germany is about $25 just to ship the one hoodie, and I only charge like $24. So I'm actually undercharging on shipping for international shipments, believe it or not. TLDR, what happened in the past 3 hours? I want to play some games. We'll be playing games on Friday. There's a new stream schedule that I just posted. Basically streaming 4 times a week, if I'm not mistaken. 4 times a week and a new video every week. Yeah. No sneak peek on the merch. Sorry. It'll be out when all this is settled and we can all enjoy it. Any festival except UMF Miami where you want to play Add if you get the chance. Any like really awesome mega festival in like the Netherlands would be sick. Oh my gosh. What does anti-lighting club mean? There's a streetwear brand that anti-social social club was like the original, so it's like a joke on that. Any ETA on the timecode rack video? Friday. I'll promise. Okay. It'll be up on It'll probably be up on Friday. Okay. So I'm a little burnt out right now. I'm gonna go take a break, get some food, and thank you guys for tuning in. Thanks Andrew for staying up till 6 a.m. True boss. Very nice. Yeah. I'm gonna end the stream here in another 30 seconds. So say your goodbyes. Say your goodbyes. Say your goodbyes. And yeah, thanks for tuning in, guys. Hope you learned something valuable. Make sure to hop over to the Discord if you want to continue talking with other people. Good old team of moderators over there. I'm gonna go get some food, get some coffee, because I literally rolled out of bed, went, grabbed the shower, was 5 minutes late starting the stream, bought these songs on Beatport. I literally was on Beatport 5 minutes before the stream started buying that song. All right. Cheers, guys. See you later. Oh, and now, oh my God, you guys. NDI started working with the laptop. Oh my God, I'm done. I'm over it. This is so stupid. Thanks for hanging out, guys. I'll see you tomorrow. And if you can't be a part of the live stream, or you're watching this in the future, it'll be available as a video. Cheers, guys. See ya.